Good evening, Nigerians, and welcome to Straight Talk. My name is Mystic Marlene, Lady Marlene Onyocha. In lieu of current events in Nigeria, today we'll be discussing a topic, a very big topic, crucial to moving Nigeria forward. Not just moving Nigeria for the future of Nigeria, but for the future of Nigerians, both in diaspora and in Nigeria. This evening's program, being the 31st of October 2020, I have three politicians, young politicians, businessmen, philanthropists, and youth advocates joining me in the studio today. There are three of them, but slowly we'll wait until we'll go on until Bishop joins us eventually. But I have to bring on board the studio the first person I'm introducing to you all is Dr. Donald Peterson. Dr. Peterson is a young politician. He is also the president and founder of the Peterson Foundation. Dr. Peterson, I'm trying to bring you on board, but to the studio, but for some reason, your video is not working. Your video is gone blank. So, and you're sort of, okay, Dr. Peterson is trying to, he's going to log back on. And because we wouldn't want Facebook to shut us down, because if you don't kickstart in 5-10 minutes with Zoom, Facebook will shut you down and then you have to create another link. But while I'm doing that, can I bring on board Honorable Godfrey Ishegbe? Honorable Ishegbe is presently he's presently the SSA to the governor of Delta State political. Is that it? Am I right? SSA political.
Absolutely correct.
Okay, Dr. Honorable Ishegbe, can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself until the other people join us in the studio?
Thank you for having me, Marlene. If you can hear me clearly.
I can, yes, and we can all hear you, yes.
Good evening to our viewers and listeners all over the world. My name is Honorable Godfrey Ishegbe. I'm the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor of Delta State, His Excellency Governor Okowa, on political matters. And thank you for having me tonight.
You're welcome. And I could see Dr. Donald is on now. Dr. Donald, I'm sorry we lost your bait there. And I was just telling my viewers or listeners that Dr. Donald Peterson is the president and founder of the Peterson Foundation, a foundation that helps a lot of youths, especially in a Car local government area. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Dr. Peterson?
My name is Donald Peterson. I'm an economist and the founder of the Peterson Foundation, a foundation that is here to adding value to life through education.
Oh, Dr. Peterson, I hope we can retain with your service that is slightly slow. Your internet services is slightly delayed, but I'm sure we can actually hear you properly. And still on this issue, the main issue we're talking about, our topic today is Nigeria heading towards anarchy? But before we get into that, can we talk about a little bit about what's going on back home in Nigeria at the moment, the NSAS? So much has happened these few weeks, 2 weeks precisely. Dr. Peterson, can I ask you, what do you actually understand about what's going on with NSAS right now in Nigeria?
I think the answer is simply to the frustration of youth over how the country is being run and over the frustration of the youth in terms of development, employment, and other things in the country. Most of the youth are not just happy that they can't get employed, and where they get employment, they're either underemployed, and also the infrastructural decay that we have in the country. The answer, simply put, is just frustration. People venting their anger on the frustration that they are facing in the country.
Well, that's most understandable. But I'll take this to you, Honorable Godfrey Ishegbe. My gentleman, pardon me, permit me to address you by your full names, if you don't mind. Godfrey, yes,
Yes.
it was supposed to be a peaceful protest. Yet somehow it went bad. Could I actually say I called it a leaderless movement? Do you think it's because they didn't have a leader, or what? At what point did you think it went bad, and why do you think it did?
Now, before we talk about the movement or the leadership of the movement, answers, we must understand the root cause of the problem. How did it started? That is the question everyone should ask. What led to this massive movement, coordination of youth all over the world, not just in Nigeria, but across countries, different countries, regions, and what's it called, continent of the world. Now, the NSAS agitation and protests started in Delta State, my own very states, precisely Hugeli in Delta State. How did it start? Some SARS men saw a young man in a Lexus Jeep and they arrested him and took him away. So, on their way going to unknown destination, they pushed him away out of the van and he fell and he got injured. I thought someone said he died, and some people said he's alive, he didn't die, and all that. But the bottom line that he was harassed, he was being, coerced to extort money from him. The NSAS police officers were, harassing people in Ughelli. In fact, the whole of Delta State. If you are good looking, you are riding a Mercedes Benz, you are riding a good car, you are targeted as a scammer and all that. And they arrest you and they extort money from you. They take you to the ATM and they withdraw money from you. Some of them won't have POS. Some of the NSAS members, they have POS. So they take these young men to an unknown destination without even this police station. They collect money. They even escort some of them to the banks to go and withdraw money. So this has been going on for a very, very, very long time. And when you continue to push these young men to the wall, they are bound to react. I think that was what actually happened, and it's boiled into a very big movement, because it actually boils down to the fact that there's a kind of leadership vacuum, there's a kind of harassment, there's kind of extortion, there's kind of armed robbery going on within the police force, and the government of the day is not doing anything about it. For instance, in 2017, the then IGP ordered that the NSAS should be disbanded. They shouldn't do any roadblock. They shouldn't do any stop and search. A circular was issued, but it was not obeyed. In fact, all the major news headlines, all the papers carried it at that time, 2017. It was not obeyed. In 2018, the same thing. The IGP ordered the disbandment of NSAS. Still, they didn't obey, they didn't carry out the order. They still continue with their nefarious activities. In 2019, the same thing. In 2020, and you're not saying you've ended SARS, but how do we trust the government of the day? How do you trust the government of the day to keep to their words of ending SARS? So that is the situation we find ourselves. That's why we said, okay, look at what happened in the NLC saga when they increased pump price and the electricity tariff. The NLC people couldn't negotiate with the government. Few leaders were selected and they went to the government. At the end of the day, they came out smiling. Nothing was achieved. So the youth noticed that we don't need a leader right now. It's a collective movement. The young people came together from different walks of life. They organized themselves together and put it out there that SARS must end. And they have 5 cardinal demands, which the government have actually accepted. But it's beyond the words, rhetorics. They need action. That is why you see that they all agree, the youth and the young people agree that there's no more leader. We don't want a leader. We just want our demands to be met so that there will be no compromise in part of leadership. I think that is the
Okay.
position we find ourselves.
Yeah, okay. And then Dr. Peterson, I was reading something about you today, and I found out that actually it was this morning that you called for a holistic reform of the police force. You actually gave figures of most likely salaries you expect to be paid to the police. So now, are you attributing the police behavior or the staff behavior towards the amount they are being paid, or or for the government to reform the police in general?
No, what I said is about reforming the police in general. First, to reform the police, you must look at their take home, and you must look at their training and the entrance qualification. In terms of take home, it might surprise you that a policeman that just been newly recruited and armed as a recruit gets about 9,000 naira a month. A corporal gets 43,000 naira a month. He's armed and you send him to the road. What do you expect him to do? He's supposed to uphold the law, but he's armed and he's hungry. He goes to the same market that other people go to. So the government needs to do something seriously about their take home. I advocate a minimum of 150,000 for a police recruit. Then also their training. Police is supposed to be a service, not a force. But they are trained as force men, and they call themselves cops. They are a service to the people. So I think government has to give their training, and also the name force has to be taken out, or that word force has to be taken out from their name, and given a complete reorientation, and their training mode should be changed. They shouldn't be trained the way the military are trained, but rather they should be trained to give service, to render service to people. Also, in terms of the entry qualification, I advocate that the minimum entry qualification of a policeman should be a university degree, a first degree, so that we want to have highly literate policemen.
Okay, and sorry, the light, your power. I think you had a slight power problem there. But
Yeah, I
we
do.
were able to hear you. We were able to hear you properly. We heard everything you said, and we could see you. Godfrey, you're still in the government. Do you think the government acted appropriately, or should you say, did they act to their full capacity to calm down the whole protest? Because it was a very peaceful protest, and then bang, it was
Well,
hijacked. It was hijacked. So, do you think the government actually acted appropriately, or to their capacity? Did they put their full okay? Because sorry to still continue. When they decided, when they agreed they were going to end SARS,
now,
do you
go ahead.
do you think that the protesters were wrong to continue? They should have stopped.
That's what I've been saying. I said it earlier on that it has to, what happened, the continuation of the protest borders on trust.
Yes.
It borders on trust between the government and the people. Because this is not the first time they've made policy statements, or let me say statements. I call it political statement because sometimes there's no political will to carry out or to back up their statement with action. So most times they issue political statements to douse the tension. I'm not speaking right now as an appointee of government, but I'm speaking on the side of the people, because the reason for every crisis in the world is injustice. And the solution to that crisis is justice. I am for justice. And a situation now, find Dr. Peterson said something about police welfare, remuneration package, and all that. Fine, yes. But you know, the system is so corrupt right now that no matter what you give to the police, that's a gunja, they don't play with it. Permit me to use that word. They don't joke with it. I've had experience with the police myself, even when I was contesting election. When on my between Ugara and Benin, I've had encounter with the NSAS. Despite my billboards littered from Ugara to my local government, they know me, but they just want to still harass me. They told me, "Can you identify yourself? This. Open your phone. Open your." They told me I was in my full convoy with my branded cars and all that. They could see my face and they could match my face with my picture in the car, but they still harass me. Just they want to extort money from me. But I had no option than to give them something for me to go. If not, they would have delayed me. So that is the systemic corruption embedded in the police force. And until an holistic approach and also the political will is needed, or let me say leadership, is infused into the police force, there's no way the police is going to experience any form of reform. If we like, we should talk from now till tomorrow until something changes within them and they begin to accept that they must not accept corruption or bribery or something before they can do their job. I tell you, there's nothing that is going to be done, and there's nothing that's going to be achieved in reforming the police. And now, in the area of whether the government have been able to stem the tide, to douse the tension and all that, yes, government have tried because they applied force. But I tell you, this is not the end of the matter. The youth are re-strategizing, and they are coming back very strong. You could see what the government did. Some state government, they sponsored, like in Abuja, some politicians sponsored hoodlums to go and attack peaceful protesters. They've introduced a new dimension of quelling protests, and that is very dangerous because at the end of the day, when you sponsor these hoodlums, these thugs to go and attack people protesters, by the time they finish their job, you've armed them and all that. What next? They'll go and look for innocent people to continue their mayhem, and you cannot control them any longer. So that is the situation we find ourselves in Abuja, that after quelling the protests, after sending the protesters back to their homes, the hoodlums and the thugs, they were left with nothing, but they had no option than to attack some certain peoples in different parts of Abuja. Like in Apo area of Abuja, they went to a car lot to burn down cars. They went to a community where Igbo people sell parts and all that. They started harassing, and I saw some video where people were crying that they should come and save them. But thank God for the government of the day, the FCT minister was able to send soldiers and military officers to go and quell the place. Now, if they weren't proactive, you can imagine the number of lives that would have been lost to that singular act of bringing thugs from neighboring states to come and quell protesters. So the approach used by the government was very, very wrong.
Okay.
So, dialogue is the key to every conflict resolution. You have to employ the carrot and not the stick approach. The carrot approach, dialogue with the people. Let them know. If they say they don't have a leader, continue to engage them. Discuss them through the platform which they all know, which is the social media. So I think the whole process is not really doused. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Gentlemen, I have to tell you now, Comrade Bishop is with us now. I'll bring him to the studio, into the studio. Bishop, you're welcome to the studio. We have to wait a little bit. I didn't introduce you yet. Bishop Amakiri, Comrade Bishop Amakiri is the chairman of YPP, Young Progressive Party. He's also a politician, a businessman, and a youth advocate. Bishop, we're talking about the answers before we get into the integrity of the subject today, which is if we're heading towards anarchy. What do you have to say? Because I actually watched videos too where you participated in some of the activities that hashtag NSACs. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences and what you saw, what you did during the NSACs?
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Marilyn. Good evening.
Let me take it. Before you do that, can you tell the diasporans and viewers a little bit about yourself too, please? Thank you.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you very much, my sister, Lady Mary.
He's frozen a bit, but
Donald Peterson, those are the ones I can see. Okay. It is pretty nice to have a conversation like this as Nigerians, because why? If a country suffers political or democratic instability, it is the people that bear the brunt. The ordinary citizens are the ones that bear the brunt. And where are we heading to? Are we heading to anarchy? Is possible. But let me just reverse to your question. You were saying something about NSAS. Actually, I was not privileged to be, to join the
protest,
the gallant youth who came out in March. But I want to also put this on record that we started the process of advocating for good governance in Nigeria on the 15th of September 2015, before the NSAS, the Young Progressive Party. We marched on the street of Abuja. That was when we went with our placards asking for, revamping that petroleum hike and electricity. We're also talking about good governance. In fact, we're the only political party that was speaking on behalf of the people. Amid the heat of that, everybody was afraid to come out. But we started that process. So what am I trying to say? I'm saying that the problem before us now is beyond NSAS. The problem before us is beyond NSAS. There is a huge, or let me say, a massive social injustice that actually gave birth to this NSAS. And I think NSAS is just a scratch of the matter, of the surface of the matter. We are in a dire need of leadership in Nigeria. Otherwise, we will continue to come back here, hold different kind of forums where we will have virtual meetings, webinars, conversation. We will not actually deal with the real issue. For us to deal with the real issue, we must begin to provoke a conversation that will usher a new breed of leaders, new breed of politicians without greed, that will come and, fill in that leadership deficit that is before us today in Nigeria. I don't want to continue to talk about, because the problem of Nigeria, my dear brothers and sisters, is so enormous that we continue to talk from here till even the end of the year. But I think that we need to begin to discuss on how we can come up with strategy. I strongly believe in what we call research and development, R&D. Let us, because we need to know where we are coming from. For us to talk about Nigeria, we need to begin to talk about where are we coming from, so that we will know where we are going to. And I think the NSAS scheme actually has waking the young people up, waking Nigerians up. I must commend the fact that the young people are beginning to understand the power that they have. And but my advice to them, my compassionate appeal to them is to begin to look at how we can fine-tune the process and channel it into a political movement, so that we can actually usher in a democratic system that will give our young people, or put them in places of governance and leadership. I think this is the next plan of action. I heard my brother and what we were talking about. It is not yet, it has not ended. They are going back to strategize. I agree totally with him, but we need to know the kind of strategy we want to unleash again. Let them channel it through a political movement, so that these people will understand really that the power of the young people actually can retire any political, whether you're a godfather or whatever you call yourself, you can be retired through a democratic means. And that's my own kind of advice.
Well, it's a good advice, but let me take you back, Donald. Let me take you back to a question somebody just asked, or should I say contribution? He's stating that John Odu is stating that wouldn't be possible to have police officers to be university degree holders. The police is also a combat armed robbers. They're also to combat armed robbers, kidnappers, and bandits. So, what would you have to say to John to that?
Anyway, the Nigerian police has a lot of graduates as officers. All what we are saying is that first degree should remain made the minimum entry into Nigerian police. The reason is we want to have highly literate police force or police service as well. And also we want to have police force that has proper training, proper rules of engagement, good orientation in terms of service delivery to the people. Yes, they are to combat armed robbers, kidnappers, and all that. You have the special branch for that. And apart from that, you have the intelligence unit. It's not until you carry gun and show off gun, that's how you really that's how you combat these people. You also use intelligence also, you know. So we need highly literate people in our Nigerian police. What the person who sent the question is trying to say is that the Nigerian police cannot have graduates carrying guns about and running around. No, that's not it. We don't want them carrying guns everywhere. That's not how to do policing. They can do policing with intelligence, you know. Intelligence gathering to be more of a focus in the police. And also,
Your device is gone mute. We cannot hear you, Donald. We cannot hear you. Yeah, your device is gone mute. But while you're trying to get that sorted, can you hear me, Can you hear me, Donald? Okay, but we cannot hear you. I'm going to take you back from the studio to get that sorted. But meanwhile, Godfrey, you heard what Desmond Elliot said about restricting social media in Nigeria. That was a very, very crucial thing to say at this particular time. What do you have to say about it?
You see, I pity Desmond Elliot. Maybe he was misquoted. I actually saw the video and I took out time to watch the video. Of course, true to the matter, there was nowhere where he advocated for social media banning. He only raised observations about how young people are insulting elders and governments. And Desmond Elliot is a well respected Nollywood actor. Uh, True, he has a lot of backlash from that video. But what he was trying to say, if I will understand, is that people should find a way to a kind of channel their grievances without insulting leadership. I think that is the summary of what he was trying to put out there. But he was misquoted. But the truth of the matter is that there's no way they can ban social media because the government of the day, which is the ruling party, APC, came on the back of social media. The right to power on the back of social media. I can remember then Lai Mohammed, the then spokesman to the APC. He was even in London. He will issue statements everywhere. They quote him on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all that. In a statement issued in Lagos, in a statement issued in London, in a statement issued in New York, he always issued statements. That was the only platform available then. That was the only platform available to Lai Mohammed. And he was able to galvanize the youth, especially those people that didn't experience General Muhammadu Buhari from 1983 to 1985. They were able to convince them because they lack history. History was not taught in our curriculum, in our educational system. So they didn't know how he ruled, how people, there was brain drain from 1983 to 1985. There was a lot of massive movement. The economic was in comatose. A lot of things happened. That is what is actually happening now. It's a repetition of what happened in 1983 to 1985. Most of our youth were not aware. So APC, through Lai Mohammed and other APC media team, were able to convince the young people of change. They used the social media to advocate, to champion the message of change. And when they got power, they now want to ban it. How is that possible?
Well,
He will go
well,
through.
Honorable Godfrey, I have to interrupt you a bit there. Saying APC and PDP, they're all the same 10 and 10 pence. So,
no, they are not the same thing. Our ideology is different. At least Nigerians didn't suffer when we're in power.
okay, now
Nigerians now
taking it.
the suffering is too much. Let me give you an instance,
No,
Mrs. Mali.
okay, go ahead.
Let me give you an instance. During the PDP era, from the 16 years we were in power, dollars was between 150 to 190. Just 4 years of APC, dollar today is going to $500, 500 naira per dollar. It has tripled. Now, during our 16 years in power, our debt profile was less than 20 billion. It was less than 7 trillion. Today, APC has thrown us into debt to a tune of 47 trillion
Well,
naira.
I have to cut you down there. I have to cut you short there.
Those are the issues. Allow me to land.
Donald, no. I mean, Godfrey, no, please. I have to cut you short down. No, I understand. I'm not trying to make it political. I want to bring Bishop into this. Bishop, have you gone? Are you gone? Where is Bishop? He's gone. I was going to bring Bishop into this to talk about the youth, what the youth are asking for, which is the young political parties. But well, you can continue since Bishop is gone. I'm sure he will come back. Go ahead. Go ahead. We're listening, Godfrey.
So, like I was saying, where did I even stop? I was talking about between APC and PDP. I'm not talking about political parties now. But when you look at the current crisis in Nigeria, it is caused by leadership. It is caused by propaganda. They entered into power through propaganda, and they couldn't even fulfill half of their promises. They made so much promises to Nigeria. They said Nigeria is going to be like, oh my God, it's going to be like Dubai. They're going to revert fuel price to 65 naira. Dollar is going to be made $1. This, and that. But today now, could you believe, even the palliative for poor people?
Let's not make that political. It's not political. I will tell you why. Why I say it's not political. You're talking, if you're getting into politics, which is not the subject matter today, my take on that is to stop the recycled politicians. And in these two parties you mentioned, they are all recycled politicians in it. I'm surprised. I'm disappointed that Bishop is not with us now. But I would have brought Bishop in because he has this young party, which is the Young Progressive Party. And then the youth now, part of this riot, the protest they're doing, is calling for young parties to be established. Political parties to kick out the old ones, which is the APC, the likes of APCs and PDPs. But before we get into that, let's not discuss that yet, since Bishop is not here yet. Let's continue on what we're talking about, NSAS, the palliatives you talked about. Donald, at what point did the governors, some of them are stating now that they didn't hurt the palliatives and all that. What do you think actually happened with all these warehouses of palliatives being found?
Anyway, what I think happened was some state governments were actually preparing for for the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. You know, when the first wave took place, most states were caught pants down. So some states took it upon themselves to prepare for the second wave. Seeing what is happening in other countries.
Your device, I think your internet is bad a bit, but you're frozen again.
Warehouse stocked with food. So
your device is gone again. Your device is gone again, Donald. We can't hear you again. Yeah. I think there's problem with your device. It's gone again. But while we're trying to get that sorted, Godfrey, can you actually elaborate more on the palliatives since you started?
Now, you see, I'm highly disappointed with some state governors. If I say I'm not highly, I will be saying the least. Because when you look at some of the governors, especially the APC governors in the Southwest, it started in Lagos. You know, the palliative, hoarding of palliative, meant for vulnerable, hungry, the lowest of the lowest of our society. People were hungry throughout the pandemic. From February till November. We're in November now. We are still talking about discovering palliative. After how many months? A lot of people died of hunger. A lot of people died because they couldn't afford square meal. Do you know that I was in the US when the pandemic struck? The people from my constituency, they were so much, because most of them survived by daily outing, going to look for what they will eat every day. Artisans, farmers, if they don't go out on a daily basis, they cannot feed their family. They cannot even feed themselves. So a lot of people depend on daily outing to make money to feed their family. Now, this pallet, they were asked to go on a lockdown. Car COVID, coalition of, what's it called, came together and provided this food stuff to be distributed across every hamlet, rural areas, and wards of the Federation. Could you believe the governors, some governors, stored this thing in their warehouses, waiting for election to distribute them? We saw some videos of some of Lagos State House of Assembly members using car COVID food items to celebrate their birthday. One said he was keeping it to celebrate his 50th birthday. Another lady, which was her name again, celebrated her birthday with some of the palliatives. Do you know that of all the states, it's only Delta State government?
You know, it cannot be that cannot be confirmed, though.
I saw it, the video. I can send the video to you. The video is trending. Her name was there. The car COVID sticker was still there. He used it to celebrate with hamper. He celebrated her birthday with it. Do you know that it's only Delta State government? His Excellency Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa was the only governor that shared comprehensively the palliative that came to Delta State. As soon as it came, we started distribution from ward. All the wards of Delta State, the villages, the rural areas, the hamlets got their palliative. They were shared through the ward chairman. The ward chairman now gathered all the young people, the youth, the old women, and all that, and shared it. The pictures are there. The video evidences are there. Some PDP governors also did. But do you know that the APC governors came together and they agreed that they shouldn't share this palliative? They should only warehouse this palliative, and then during election time they can use it for to lure the people to get the votes.
Yeah, but it's
for
not.
Goodness sake, what is palliative?
It's not the APC thing. It's not APC thing or PDP thing. This is a Nigeria thing. That's why we're talking about Nigeria.
Leadership. The ruling party must be held accountable. They are the one in government. They control the resources. They control the economy. They should be able to be held accountable for anything that goes wrong in respect of the palliative. They
Yeah,
share
but
the
Donald just explained to us that they said they were storing it for the next phase.
For which phase?
Well, there's a second
first
phase.
The question you should ask that, have they shared any palliative before? When the cases were rising from February, April, May, June, July, August.
They must have.
At what phase have they shared any palliative?
I believe they must have. They must have. And then
do you have any evidence to that?
Well, I can't tell you for sure, but then it can't just be that, because I know at the time my state governor, Abia State, shared a bit. So, but I don't know.
Abia State, yes, that's PDP states. We shared, all PDP governors, because we made an arrangement. We made it as a matter of policy to share our palliative as soon as it arrives, because we have the people at heart. We are pro-people. When PDP was in government, there was no hunger. You can attest to that. But now there's hunger in the land.
So you can justify the looters going in and breaking in and taking those things.
Of course, it's despicable. I condemn it. I totally condemn it. But this is a palliative. He that goes to equity must go with clean hands. I keep saying that. You can't hoard the people's food and people's rights, and you said they should not react. You understand? I'm not trying to justify the way they went about it, because there was collateral damage. A lot of private warehouses were vandalized. A lot of private warehouses were looted. So I'm not an advocate of taking the bull by the horn. I'm not an advocate of taking, the law, into your hands. But the truth of the matter is that the root cause of this measure, the root cause of this invasion into government warehouses storing this palliative, is hunger.
Okay,
you deny the people. You deprive the people of their rights. So they have to go in search of their rights.
I have to read a comment. Because this person is so upset that we turn it into political. His name is John Aldrin. He said, Honorable Godfrey, you should remember your party borrowing to salaries. Remember, salaries were owed to 7 to 13 months respectively. Can you tell us one achievement of your party before 2015? I don't expect this platform to be political. I'm not APC nor any political party member. We had high rates of looting under your political party. What do you have to say about that?
You see, that's a typical APC statement. We are
He's not a political, he's not in any political.
That's what they always say. That's what they say, but by their statement, we know them. The records are there. It's incontrovertible. Look, the records are there from 1999 to 2015 that we're in government. You have to look at the GDP. You have to look at the economic indices of the country. Were Nigerians better off then than now? Or is Nigerians better off now than before? What is our purchasing power then? What is our economic power then? Those are the indices you should look at when making such. How can you be asking us what's our achievement when we have a lot of achievement? We paid off our debts. Now they have taken us back to those debts. Obasanjo paid off our Paris debt. We did. Ngozi Okonjo did very well. Additional, look at them now. They are in the world stage. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is a product of our government. Today now she's a World Trade Organization. What's it called? Nominee. The same thing with Femi Adesina. He led a revolution in the agricultural sector. We were able to harvest, we were able to farm, we were able to harvest, we were able to store, there was bountiful harvest, there was surplus food. But today now, banditry, Boko Haram has invaded our farms and denied our farmers from cultivating their land. So those are the issues. And when you cannot provide insecurity, how do you want to provide food? Because most of these areas attacked by bandits and Boko Haram insurgency are farmers.
You're not coming back on.
So this is not about political party. This is not about which party you belong. This is not about what APC has done. This is not about what PDP has done. Are you with me? This is about leadership. This is about leadership. We need leadership in this country to be able to take us from where we are now to where we ought to be.
Well, we've diverted from the main subject matter this evening, but I'll take us back to still the same SARS, because a lot happened in Lekki Tollgate, and a lot of lives were lost, whether exaggerated or not. There are some videos being circulated here and there about so many people that died at Lekki Gate, and fingers are being pointed at so many different avenues. So, but one of those people that they thought did this was Jagaban Tinubu, and we all know he's actually gone in for 2023 elections, and it was between them, the South and Southeast. Do you think what happened now has kicked him off the curve and then given Igbos more advantage for 2023?
You see, every political crisis that happens in Nigeria, they tie it to 2023, which is not actually the issue. We should be looking at the course and how to better the lives of our people. 2023 is good to plan, but 2023 Nigeria might not experience 2023 with the way it's currently going, because things are not right. Now, I've heard a lot of accusation, pointing of fingers and all that. No Jagaban, no governor can deploy the army unilaterally. It's not possible. The commander-in-chief of the armed forces controls the army. He is the only person constitutionally empowered to give orders to the army, and they move. No civilian can give orders to the army. No governor can give order to the army. No Tinubu can give order to the chief of army staff, and he moves his men from the barracks. The only person that can deploy, according to our Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, which is General Muhammadu Buhari. So I can authoritatively tell you that nobody deployed.
So are you saying he's the one that deployed them and gave orders?
Of course, he's constitutionally empowered to do that. Tinubu cannot tell the chief of army staff, go to the toll gate and go and shoot people. Never. He doesn't have the powers. The chief of army staff will be sacked the next day. The governor of, what's it called, cannot give that power. He can only report to the president, sir, come and help us. And the president will give orders. I think that's what happened. He actually secured the help of the Mr. President to come and quell the protest. And the president had to act. But my fault, I'm faulting the using armed, live bullets on armed protesters.
Yeah.
It's against any known international engagement. It's against any known international protocol. In fact, that singular act is qualified for ICC prosecution. That's International Criminal Court prosecution. And if something is not done to fish out who gave that order, which we already know, but just to be on the safer side, to set the record straight, who gave that order and who are those people that perpetrated those shootings, they should be brought to book. Because innocently, the statistic I heard that over 15 lives were lost. Recently, Sahara reporters published, dead bodies floating out of the lagoon. How did they get there? Those were the victims of the shooting in the Lekki Tollgate shooting. So it should be thoroughly investigated and those perpetrators be brought to book. Like I said earlier, the reason for every crisis is injustice. And the solution to those crises is justice. And until we get justice, this country will know no peace. So I'm appealing to those involved that they should be held responsible, those that did the shooting. We have rubber bullets. Even if you want to shoot, why will you shoot directly at the people? Can't you use tear gas? Can't you use a water cannon? Those are known implements to quell protests or to quell riots, not even protests, riots. And at this stage, these are peaceful protesters singing our national anthem, Some of them were seated, and the what's it called? Nigerian army had to open up fire. It was devastating, to say the least.
And okay, taking you away from a bit away from that, while all that was going on before that firing day, all the protests, while they were protesting and all that, international media never carried it. Major media never carried it. What do you think that happened? Or are we no longer important? Like there was something that was being circulated in the media, in Facebook and should I say social media, about Nigeria not being priority to what's going on in the world, or Africa not being priority. Do you have anything to say towards that?
Yes. When you look at international politics, I'm a student of international politics and I understand international politics and diplomacy. When you look at the international politics, all attention is being fixed on the US presidential election coming up on November 4th. So attention was on that election when the pro-end SARS protest was going on. Fine, initially they never reported the matter and all that. But as the tweets and what is it called, social media and engagement by our youth across the globe, as well as the protests across countries of the world, they begin to turn the attention to them. And international media began to, air some of these things. CNN, I saw it on CNN as well. I saw it on BBC News. I saw it on Al Jazeera. I saw it on so many platforms. But that was after the shooting must have taken place. For complete 7 days, they never cared about us. And that's a matter of policy towards the black race. It boils down to racism, the systemic racism in the journalism industry, as well as world politics. So when you look at it, everybody is focusing on, the US election. Now, apart from the US election, there's something about the black race. If this thing were to happen in France or in any of these European countries, you see a lot of international, attention, press attention and all that. But because it's Nigeria, and knowing fully well that the leadership, we are no longer respected in the Committee of Nations anymore. That's because of our leadership. Even our president refused to address us. So how do you expect international people to address us? So when the leadership is bad, you can expect such disrespect from international organizations, international medias, foreign embassies, foreign government, and all that. So it's expected. But I thank God the youth, the young people were able to, in a kind of, pressurize most of these major stakeholders, opinion leaders around the world, like the Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden tweeted in favor of NSAS. Hillary Clinton also tweeted. That's because of the effort of our young people on Twitter, Facebook, and all other social platforms to reach out to these leaders, to add their voice to the NSAS protests going on in Nigeria. Apart from that, so many celebrities across the world, athletics, professionals, journalists, many of them, mentioned them. They all tweeted and they all, stood in favor of NSAS. And then I must commend the Democratic, presidential candidate Joe Biden. He showed that he's indeed going to be a leader, the world leader. I must say that Donald Trump refused to even, I understand he's contesting election, but Joe also is contesting election. Donald Trump refused to tweet in favor of even mention it. Even Barack Obama, that put us in this mess that we are today, because they meddled in our elections, they interfered in our elections. Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, they never tweeted in favor of NSAS. They never even mentioned it.
Yeah,
they
but
never even show any form of empathy.
Okay.
They never identified with us. But when it comes to politics, they rear their heads and say they want to impose their candidates. You see the situation we have today.
Like you mentioned a lot were killed. You mentioned them, and I know there's still a lot of killings going on now because I think some bad people hijacked it and capitalized on it. So there's still a lot of people being killed, especially in rivers and all that. I'm not mentioning names, but do you think they've made that impact? The protesters, do you think their voice has been heard, or do you think they chickened out because of the shooting and all that, or do you think there are more to come towards this NSAS?
You see, a lot of innocent blood have been sacrificed for this cause.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's a movement, and such movement, there's bound to be collateral damage. There's bound to be casualty.
Mm-hmm.
So my thoughts and prayers are to the families of those that have lost their loved ones in this protest. But beyond that, their death is not in vain because the government have heard the young people loud and clear. A message has been sent. For now, the government might think that they have won because they've applied force, but nowhere in the world can force quell an ideology. When time comes, when books comes to show, a lot of these things will rear their ugly heads again. And if their agitations and if their demands are not taken care of now, I see a time bomb. You will observe in this protest that the northern youths, are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
The northern youths never participated wholeheartedly in this entrance. They
Mm-hmm.
are watching the southern youths, how they are doing it. It's a time bomb, and I'm warning the government of the day to do something about these young people, to roll out projects, to roll out employment, to roll out opportunity scheme for these young people, because the time bomb. I'm even particular about the north. If the northern youth decide that enough is enough, that will be the end of politicians in the north. That will be the end of Nigeria. The poverty in the north is alarming. The poverty in the north is alarming. I say it again. The poverty in the north is alarming compared to the south. And they are watching what the southern people are doing and how they are holding their leaders accountable. Look at what happened to Senator Udo Dema, or what's his name? The senator in Cross River State. His house was looted. His house was burnt down, including the roof was removed. The northern youths are observing what the southern youths are doing. So if they think they can use talks to quell anything, and once the northern youth starts, I pity the northern politicians. If they know what is good, they should roll out empowerment scheme for the northern youth. They should roll out employment scheme for this northern youth. They should engage them. They should set up an enabling environment where the young people can strive and earn a living. That is my advice for them. If not, Nigeria is in a keg of gunpowder. It is bound to explode any moment from now. Honestly, because the poverty ratio, the poverty in the country is alarming. People cannot afford 3 square meters a day. As I am now, a small me, I know the number of persons reaching out to me just to ask for 500 naira for feeding. They cannot afford even 100 naira to eat. Some people have gone days without eating. The hunger in the land is much. And you see just a tiny majority, a tiny minority of people, less than 2%, controlling the resources of this country, controlling, having trillions. Some of them have dollars stacked somewhere. By the time these people begins to go from politicians' houses to another, my brother, the country is finished. So a stitch in time saves 9. That's my advice for the
Well,
politicians.
and then for thank God your internet lasted with us for this hour, and we lost Bishop and we lost Donald, but maybe I will call them back in some other time, not today because we're already out of time. But can you then, in one word, tell us exactly if Nigeria is heading towards anarchy?
The way Nigeria is going right now, it is heading towards anarchy. And until leadership is infused, and until we get appropriate leadership, someone that can inspire people, someone that can give hope to us, to Nigerians, I'm afraid we're heading towards anything more than anarchy. We're heading into chaos, pandemonium, and hulabalo.
Well, we have heard from Honorable Godfrey Ishegbe, SSA Political, to the Governor of Delta State. I must say I appreciate you being part of this program today, and hopefully next time, if we have time to call on every other person, that their internet is okay, and if we're able to extend our hands again for you to come and add one or two things, you should be able to do it for us. I must say thank you so much for today, for giving us your time today, Godfrey.
You're welcome.
And thank you.
Thank you, viewers.
Stable.
Thank you
I'm
for listening.
surprised also the light stayed stable because Donald's light, although Donald I think is in Delta and the chair in Abuja. Well,
That's what
I
we're
will
talking about. Leadership.
the
The failure of
leadership.
APC government. Eh?
Leadership. Thank you so much for
I'm providing my own power. I have my own
okay.
inverter. I have my own
Okay.
generator. I have everything. Just to
Maybe
come and
that's
I also
why.
pay tax. You see what we're talking about?
Maybe that is why.
And
I
we
must
never
say
spoke. We never spoke about the agitations of the
I
Southwest.
know. I know. I
Because we need to
know.
address that. That's the
No,
highest form of injustice. But maybe
no,
some
I
other
don't
time
want to.
I'll be welcome to speak on
I
that.
will call you. I will call you back maybe next Saturday when we'll be discussing about agitators. But today is so delicate because there's so much going on in River State, and it's so emotional that we don't want to dwell into that today. So maybe next Saturday, if you're still free, we'll call you. We'll invite you to talk on that for us. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much for your time today, Humphrey. I
Thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye
you for
bye. And my viewers, you've heard it from slightly from Bishop, slightly from Donald, and then from Godfrey Ishegbe. Unfortunately, we lost Donald and Bishop before time. But next Saturday, Straight Talk coming back next Saturday. And I must apologize because what I'm doing today is I am directing, producing, and talking at the same time. Unfortunately, Spencer and Yawanu couldn't join us today, the other side of the studio. So I am doing everything myself. And I must say thank you for lasting this hour with me. I appreciate everyone that stayed with me today. But my closing remark, and I must say, it is not only Nigeria that deserves new Nigeria. Nigeria also deserves new Nigerians. On this note, I must say goodbye, everyone, and stay best.
Preview TV, new media with a difference.